Welcome to the Living as Source podcast. Today, I am joined with Brittany from I Am Brittany. I'm sure you guys recognize her. She has an amazing channel full of I Am teachings that really resonate with me, and I'm sure they resonate with you. Welcome, Brittany. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Brandon. It's nice to see you.
You as well. And I'm so excited for this one. I've been watching your videos, and you shared that your shift didn't really happen through doing more, but it happened when you stopped.
Yeah.
And I was wondering if you could speak to that moment when you realized, hey, I got to stop these techniques,
Yeah,
and how it wasn't a loss of power. You were actually uh, gaining power by dropping that.
absolutely. Yeah. I have been in this, you know, uh, community, if you will, for many, many, many years. And I thought I knew it all. I thought I knew everything there was to know. And I think that's where a lot of people find themselves when they learn about, all this kind of rewiring your subconscious mind. And this is all of your thoughts, and you need to control your thoughts. And this is all about control. And I was still in the space of doing that and felt pretty decent about it, but it took a lot of effort to literally experience anything that I wanted. And so I decided that my husband was going to be healthy. And this was something that from the day I met him, he had suffered with lots of different, what you would say are medical conditions. Had been on like lots of different medications since he was a child, and um, I was just tired of seeing him like suffer. And so I was like, all right, cool. I'm going to manifest this. And what ended up happening was it got a lot worse, and it got really to the point where he was hospitalized. He was in the hospital for I think like 11 or 12 days. And in that time period, I was at home with myself in my mind, like, nope, he's healthy. No, he's healthy. No, he's healthy. Thoughts would come in, and I would be like, no, 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 no. And it got to a point where things just continued to get worse, and I was, in charge of communicating with family members, letting them know like what was going on. We also had a very new baby at the time, and I have two older children, and they were very confused about what was happening. And it was just so much going on. And this was also during like the COVID times where you couldn't actually just be at the hospital. So I was feeling so helpless, so horrible. And I almost started to feel like I'm making these things worse because I know I'm God of my reality, right? Yet, why is it just getting worse? And so I had what at the time I thought was a dream. Now I'm understanding it was not a dream. I literally was just so drained and exhausted, couldn't eat, couldn't sleep. Like I'm sure anybody can imagine it. It's so stressful thinking that something horrible is happening to somebody that you love. And I really just had this dream where I was talking to my higher self, and I just knew it. I knew it was me. There was no sort of indication other than the fact that I knew it. I could feel it. And we weren't actually talking with words. It was just like this telepathic communication. And what it said was, stop, stop. You have already chosen. That's all there is. You need to just relax. And I was scared at first, but I was so relieved that I could finally just stop this madness. I could just relax and know that, yes, while this looks scary and while it feels really horrible, somehow, some way, this is going to be okay. I know it is because I know the truth. I know who I am. And within such a short time frame, everything unfolded in just the craziest ways. And this is why I'm so passionate about allowing everything just to be the way that it is and knowing who you are in these experiences. Because from a human perspective, we have no idea. We have no idea how it's going to come about. We could try to figure it out, but all that does actually is keep you stuck in a place where, okay, it has to happen in this way. And I was so tired. And so I just let everything go. I trusted that this was going to be okay because I said it was. And it was miraculous being thrown around everywhere in the hospital. This man had a miraculous healing, like, and then the recovery on top of that, they said he was gonna be out of commission for 6 months. It was like 6 weeks. He was better than he has ever been, and he just continues to be. So, yeah, that completely changed everything for me, for sure.
That's an amazing story. And something similar happened to me, although I was not familiar with I am teachings, anything
Mhm.
manifesting. It was actually what I mean, there's a bunch of things that triggered my spiritual awakening,
Me
but the
too.
one thing that was like, "Hey, buddy, time to make a
Yeah,
decision,"
yeah.
was I was having panic attacks and it was new to me. I was like, what is happening to
Mhm.
me? Like, why is this
Yeah,
happening?"
yeah,
And so much frustration of so much effort being put into the 3D world and nothing changing, nothing
yeah,
happening. Just
yeah,
in life, right? I was
of
just living my
course.
human life, trying to make one for myself, and
Mhm.
just things would never work out how I wanted them to. And it
Yeah,
was just this inner something
yeah,
the first time I've ever listened to it, right? Because we all have it with us. And it was
totally.
like, stop, stop.
Yeah,
Like, quit. It's not
yeah,
working. You know it's not working.
seriously.
Something has to change here. And that just led into everything. My awakening, learning about manifesting. And this is still quite a bit before I got to the I
Mhm,
am, but it
mhm.
was that recognition of stop playing out there. You got to
Yeah,
take care of in here.
yeah, absolutely. I love that. And you see, you weren't even looking for it. It found you like it
Yeah.
does.
And it shows up right when it needs to.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to you, what's the
Mhm.
difference between the human self manifesting and manifesting from your awareness as I
Yeah.
am?
Absolutely. Oh man. Well, I think again, like most people who are looking for this stuff, I will say, they are being presented like in a way of, hey, your human self, the one with all of these belief systems, with the past, with the problems, and all of that, you're God. And to the ego, that's like, oh, hell yeah, cool. Like, let's figure this out. Let's see how I can make this work for me. And so, really, we come into it and then completely get lost in that thinking that it's us. It's this human us that is manifesting. And there's all these ideas out there. There's all these techniques out there. You have to fix yourself. You have to heal. You have to change your mind. It needs to be reprogrammed. I mean, there's so many things. And that is all coming from a very deep place of lack in every way. And when you understand that the human you is not here to make things happen, it's not here to fix problems, to figure things out, to be honest. It's just here to choose and to experience and allow the experiences to flow through. So when you're in that human perspective, in my experience, you're really cutting yourself off from that flow of source, like doing it through you. But when you understand that that is truly who you are at your core, and there's never anything that you needed to be worried about, like before you even knew about any of this. You were always being taken care of. Granted, it might have not been in the way that you would have chosen for yourself, but it was still always working out somehow, some way. So I think you just have to get to this place where you say, like, hey, let's be real for a second. Like, I somehow wake up every single morning with my heart beating, somehow manage to drive to work while I wasn't even probably paying attention most of the time, like there's a greater force at work here. And the quicker you surrender to this idea and know who you are, the easier it's going to be to choose these things that you want. So, with manifesting from the human perspective, I'm not going to say that you can't. Obviously, I did it and I did it quite a bit. But again, it was never anything consistent and long lasting in my experience. It was always cool. You brought this stuff up like enough into your awareness to be able to see it for a brief little period. And now it's already gone again. What is this? What's happening? Why do I have to keep affirming a million times? Why do I have to keep doing these techniques over and over again to get a little spark of something and then it just goes away again. Like, what is this? And that's it. It's that the human was never here to manifest. You were here to choose and allow it to be manifested through you by source, who you really are.
Agree with all of that, especially the choice, right?
Mhm.
Everything is our
Yeah.
choice.
Yeah.
And we grow up thinking it's the opposite, that things are
Totally.
happening to us. And it's so important to obviously know yourself as source, but that's the only way this works because otherwise, in my opinion, you can absolutely manifest wonderful things. We all know that person who's just happy for no reason and
Really.
everything just unfolds perfectly for them. That's
Yeah.
because they're walking in that energy already. You
Mhm.
don't need to know your source,
Mhm.
but if you're trying to do things consciously, we got to start there
Yeah.
because otherwise you're creating separation.
Mhm.
And some of you want convincing that your source, and I
Mhm.
never want to convince someone of the truth. I believe it's something you got to find for yourself,
Yeah.
but it's also pretty easy to find with your
Mhm.
awareness. If you can be
Yeah.
still sometimes and just understand that you're aware of everything and you're absolutely the creator of your experience, it's hard to get over that hump, right? You're going from
Mhm.
thinking you're a helpless little human to, oh my
Yeah.
God, I'm everything. And
Yeah.
that's a tough change. That can be tough for the mind to try to figure out. But if you can recognize that my mind's never going to understand this power, it really gives you the permission to surrender.
Yeah, I totally, totally agree. And it's so true. It's funny how you say like we all know those people that just like seem to have it all and it's just easy for them. That was like the thing in my life that I continued to see over and over again. And I was so much interested in what is this person doing? How are they living this way? It doesn't seem much different from what I'm doing. Why is it that they have these things or this seems easy for them and it's not for me? Of course, now, understanding what I do, I realize it was all just me being aware of it. But the funny thing is that, like you said, there are lots of people who go on living their lives perfectly fine and they are just in a mindset of, yeah, things kind of always work themselves out and that's just how it is. Like my dad has always been that way. So I kind of took that from him and I think I've mentioned this before but like I like to reverse engineer things too and like we're going to be a little bit logical here and there sometimes and that can also help us along the way.
It should be, right? I think we try to get rid of the logical mind once you
Mhm.
get into these teachings. But some
Yeah.
of the things that we're teaching, right? Reality is a mirror. Time
Yeah.
doesn't exist. Those are logical things that you can wrap your head around. And if you can start
Totally.
practicing those, you're going to
Mhm.
see some instant results, like making it all inner, knowing that you can't manipulate
Mhm.
anything out there. Just that
Yeah.
simple shift, even if you don't fully understand it logically, it
Yeah.
makes a little bit of sense. So I
Yeah.
try to tell the new cats,
Mhm.
hey, start there. Start with the easy stuff, right?
Yeah.
Reality is a mirror. Time doesn't exist. You're only ever now. And
Yeah.
it's about your identity.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm totally agree with you. And of course, like you've experienced, everybody is at a different place. Everybody, has their own time, so to speak, when they're ready to say enough is enough. And I get it. Humans, as we are, we're programmed to believe that we have to work for things. We have to put in the effort if we want to have the reward. And people are no different when they come into manifestation, thinking that this is just another thing that I have to sort of make work for me and like manipulate in some way and I'll get there. But it's actually learning that we need to just let go of all of that. It's not a learning process, it's not a doing more process, it's not a being perfect process. It's actually a practice of letting go of these things that you used to just hold on to so tight as the truth, you know?
Yeah. So tight too.
Mhm.
And it's something I still like, obviously there's stuff I'm still trying to manifest, but
Yeah.
every now and then I'll catch something because I feel like I'm pretty far along now. But
Mhm.
every now and then I'll catch something like, damn, I'm holding on to that like
Yeah,
big time, big time.
totally.
Where do you think that comes from? Just the tight grip on
Yeah.
everything.
Well, honestly, in my experience, I really do think it's coming from this place of feeling like you're a victim in some way. And again, I really do think that from the youngest age that I can remember. Like, I specifically remember an experience, and this is kind of crazy because I was probably 4 at the time, but where I was crying about something, something upset me, and my dad said, "All right, cut it out. That's enough. Like, we don't need to hear it anymore because we're all in the car on a road trip." And I was like, "Oh, okay. So, like, people don't need to hear from me when I'm upset." And truly, that's kind of where I stopped allowing people to see how I was feeling about things. And then I held it all in, and it was like, oh my God, I'm such a victim. People are so horrible to me. People treat me so badly. What is wrong with me? I do everything for everyone else. Like, when is it going to work for me? And realizing that you have to let go of that. And to the human self, that doesn't feel great. It feels like, well, but what about this person? Like, they have to pay for what they did to me. But when you come back to it, nobody did anything to you. This was all just you experiencing yourself in a different form, really to wake you up and remind you that none of this is really happening in the way that you think it is.
Right? It's all unfolding through you, and you're the realization that you're actually like the extreme opposite of a victim, right? Like you are
Yeah.
the total power.
Yeah.
What do you do to, or what would be your? Because I tell people the same thing, right?
Mhm.
We can talk manifesting all day, but at the end of the day, it's about surrendering. Are you
Yeah.
going to, or are you not
Absolutely.
going to?
Yep.
What is your advice on surrendering? Because it's not
Mhm.
easy to do. It's not
It's
easy to
not.
do.
Yeah.
It sounds easy, but
Mhm.
it is not.
Totally. And you know what? I always say this to my clients, especially. All right, guys, look, we have two choices here. You can either make the decision on your own to surrender, or you can play this game for however long you want to until you get fed up with it, like beyond fed up, that you have really no choice but to do it. And I know because I'm speaking from experience, I was always thinking that it was me making these things happen. I was the one that was manifesting. So it was all up to me to make it happen. And even understanding that I was source, I still looked at it from that perspective for a bit. It was like, okay, cool, I'm source. So I have to do all of this. I have to make it all happen. No, that's not what this is. It's recognizing that you are source and you've chosen to manifest this human body to have this human experience. The human itself is not doing the manifesting. So, again, your job is to simply choose who you want to be and accept the fact that you are it, have always been it. And again, if you feel like you can't let go of these circumstances or what he said or what they did, you're just doing it to yourself. So really you have to ask yourself like, when is enough for me? Is it going to be now or is it going to be 5 weeks from now, 5 years from now? It's up to you. You always have the choice and every moment of now you can choose. So it really, I agree with you. You can't convince anyone of this. You can't make them surrender. But I can talk from my experience and I have been in this for over 18 years now. Would not suggest it in the way that I did. So again, I'm not saying to surrender to give up on anything. In fact, it's quite the opposite. When you actually just rest in the truth and you trust in that, you allow everything to appear to you in your five senses.
Totally. I liked what you said at the end there, trust,
Mhm.
because that is absolutely what this is about. And
Yeah.
I kind of tell my people the same thing. Hey, you got the information,
Yeah.
especially those that believe their source, right? I got a lot of people
Totally.
who were like,
Yeah.
absolutely, I am source.
Yeah.
And it comes down to, well, okay, well, we can keep playing these games,
Yep.
or you can trust in source,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And I try to motivate them with the information that you have, it ain't going anywhere, okay? You're going to
Totally.
be thinking about this when you're 70, 80, and you're going to
Yeah.
be like, why didn't I surrender sooner?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
just do it now. Like, just
Absolutely.
let it flow, let it flow.
Yes.
So how do you stay grounded when things come up?
Yeah, yeah. Well, for me personally, the first thing that I always let people know is that I do not judge myself. I am so gentle with myself. It's a little bit ridiculous at this point. And for people who don't know, I'm a mother, like I mentioned. So I think of it as one of my children. Like, if one of my children was going through something, maybe they were scared or they were having a hard time at school, the first thing that I'm going to do is absolutely listen and validate all of the feelings. I'm not going to say, well, this is a little bit ridiculous, like you shouldn't be scared of this. No, not at all. I'm going to allow the space for them to let me know what's going on and let me know from their perspective how they feel. And so it's no different with my human self. When she feels that somebody is taking advantage of her, I'm not going to tell her she's being ridiculous. I'm going to allow the emotions and the feelings to be there. Absolutely. And then once I have allowed the emotions to kind of move through and pass on, I will then remind myself of the truth. And I do it in a lot of different ways. Sometimes I kind of just laugh at myself. Other times I remind myself that, hey, you're always being taken care of. It's always going to be okay. So even if in this particular circumstance you didn't feel the way that you wanted to feel, just know that somehow, some way, this is happening for you. And if you can perceive it in that way, you will be led to find out why that was, you know? So, really, just again, being very gentle with myself and then coming back to the truth.
Perfect. Especially because I think this is it's a bit of a dance between source and the human
Mhm.
experience, right?
Yeah.
As source, we can recognize, yeah, I'm not these feelings, I'm not these emotions.
Mhm.
However, you're still dealing with a human here,
Totally.
and old me, I would suppress things all the time.
Yes.
We all know how that works out.
Mhm.
It may be
Yep.
fine in the moment, but it's coming back. Okay, so
Exactly.
allow it. Allow
Totally.
the shitty day. Just let it
Mhm.
happen, and
So
then
true.
bring
Yeah.
yourself back.
Yeah. Gosh,
And
I honestly, I don't know if I've met one person in my lifetime that is like the ideal person to show you that, like, oh, I've processed my emotions in the healthiest way. That's not the world that we experience. It's okay, no, that's not right. You can't feel that. And so we then internalize that. And for me, at the time, I would have said, oh, yeah, I'm good. I process my emotions. But that was because I would cry when I watched a movie or I would cry when I would see a commercial. But other than that, I wasn't processing my emotions. I was running away from them. I was scared to be alone by myself ever. And I didn't know why at the time, but I truly think it was because I was scared to be alone with my thoughts and my feelings, and I didn't want to face that. But at some point, I had no choice but to do that, and it was kinda crazy. Like, it was very emotional, and I was like, "I had no idea all of this was going on, but I'm just gonna allow all of it." And the crazy thing is, I don't know about you, but once you allow the emotions and they move through, you come out on the other side with a whole new perspective and clarity on things.
a sense of relief
Totally.
because you allowed it. It might have felt good, might have felt bad,
Mhm.
but you ended up where you wanted to
Yeah,
begin with. And
yeah.
it's simply allowing, because what are we talking about, right? What's an emotion? People say energy and motion, which is
Mhm.
fine, but
Yeah,
it's source. Everything
yeah,
is source.
of course. It's all just energy.
It's all the same substance. And if
Mhm,
you can find a perspective of, oh, I'm source and I get to experience sadness. I get to
mhm,
experience anger. And I think that's one of the beautiful things about this whole experience is that we get to
mm,
experience these things. And yeah, anyone watching right now, and I tell my people the same thing. If you get pissed off or angry,
mhm.
lean into it. Like
Yeah,
experience that. There is nothing wrong with it except
yeah,
for the belief in you thinking it's wrong. You know what I mean?
mhm,
So just
totally.
be
Yeah,
it, allow it, and just move on. Stay in that identity uh,
totally.
that you want. Um, you've talked about non-attached love,
Hmm, mhm.
especially within marriage and motherhood. I'm a dad, so I'm
Yeah,
interested in what's it like experiencing those things, full devotion as well as intimacy, I
mhm.
guess, while
Yeah.
being non-attached.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's a brand new thing for me, that's for sure. And I if there was any area of my life where I feel like I struggled the most, it was relationships. That was always my thing. I always wanted to be in a relationship. I remember like being in school and I was like, when I'm 19, I'm getting married and I'm gonna have kids. And funny enough, that's kind of how it went, although not in the way that I wanted it to. So, I got pregnant very young and my life was just being in a relationship from then on. And unfortunately, I allowed myself to perceive lots of problems, controlling behavior, manipulation, abuse, all of that stuff. And like anyone does, I think I internalized that. And instead of seeing that, hey, I need some space for myself, I was like, I'm ready to meet someone else. And I got myself in this cycle where, okay, this guy wasn't it. Let's try another one. And not to no surprise, got worse every relationship until one day I was just like, clearly it's me. There's something going on with me, and I need to see what this is. So, long story short, I realized that it was all coming from me. I started to understand what we're experiencing here. But even then, I still was very much attached to my romantic partner and then of course my children as well. And it didn't really occur to me until I started having problems in my marriage. And like when I met this man, he was amazing. He was everything I could ever imagine for myself. And for me to go from seeing a man in that way to then starting to see these little things here and there pop up from what I used to experience in previous relationships, I was like, no. No, 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 no. We are not going to do this anymore. We're not doing this. So I had to be real. And luckily, I'm with somebody who is very open. He likes to communicate. He's had years and years of therapy from his perspective where he's like, look, I want to communicate. So I have that. But I had to start to recognize that the more I rely on him and what's going on with him, which, like, let's be real, we're not gonna be happy and content all the time. Sometimes we're in a bad mood, or sometimes we didn't get enough sleep, whatever. And I was taking what was going on with him and making it about me. And the more that I did that, the more that I suffered, And same thing with my kids, like just putting all of this stress and story on them, like, oh my gosh, well, why would he do something like that? I didn't raise him to be like that. I didn't raise him to talk back. And then I'm like, wait a second. Why am I making this about me? It doesn't need to be about me. This doesn't say anything about me as a mom. This also doesn't say anything about me as a wife. It's just a reflection. It was me forgetting for a brief period of who I really am. And now I'm remembering. So truly, like every day navigating through these relationships, priority myself. Always, 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 always. And I don't like do anything really other than waking up every day, regardless of what happened the night before, regardless of what kind of sleep I got. I spend just a few minutes on myself, just appreciating who I am and knowing that truth and being so grateful that I get to walk through another day in this experience and then moving from there, then doing the mom thing and the wife thing with that foundation, underneath me. Does that make sense?
Oh, perfect sense. You gotta take care of you first because the things you want to see are gonna unfold through you. And I'm so grateful that I had my awakening or all this knowledge that I have now. I'm so grateful that it happened before my daughter was
Yeah.
born.
Yeah.
Because I don't know what kind of
Mhm.
dad I would have been then, but
Yeah.
the best part is now, and we talk about this a lot in
Mhm.
the Living at Source community, there's a lot of parents in there. And
Mhm.
there's so many cool stories of them just seeing their kids the way they
Yeah.
want to see them, right? Giving the perspective
Yeah.
instead of trying to manipulate everything that's
Mhm.
going on out there.
Yeah.
And I love being able to do that for my daughter. Just see her healthy, complete, whole,
Yeah. Yeah.
and just taking care of
Mhm.
that first because that's how you really get the results and see what you want to see out there.
Totally. And I have such an amazing experience with my son. So He's 17 now, but, when he was around 5 or so, he was diagnosed with autism, and I knew it, like, I just knew it from the moment he started just, wanting to crawl, for example. I just knew it, but I had a lot of hard times trying to figure out what it is that was going on, and, honestly, as soon as they gave us this diagnosis, it was like a label. And even though I didn't know what I know now, I wasn't doing that. I was not telling him that he was autistic. I was not telling him that he was going to have to do things differently than other people. I didn't do any of that. Yes, he went to therapy. He had a lot of occupational things. But other than that, I just encouraged him. I reminded him that he was perfect. I reminded him that he was healthy. I reminded him that he was loved and he was safe. And it's funny because so many people who knew him back then are just floored by who this young man, my son, is. And he is so smart. He's respectful. He's in AP classes. Like, he is a freaking genius. He is just incredible. And I'm so happy that I saw that in him from the beginning. And again, I didn't know myself as source, but something in me just knew, like, this isn't a bad thing. This isn't a problem. This is just who he is. And it's just a unique part of him, just like anyone else. So I love that aspect of him. And to be honest, like, we don't even use the word because I don't see him that way. I don't see him as there's something different about him. I love him, and he definitely doesn't see himself that way. He's a little bit too confident most days. So yeah, it's been amazing, and I'm so on the same page as you. Like, I could have listened to what all the doctors told me. I could have put him on all these different medications and been moving from fear, but I just knew something within me that told me, like, there's nothing wrong with this kid. Like, he's okay. He's gonna be okay.
That's so cool. You were removing labels and conditions before you even
Yes.
knew to, right? That's just a mom.
Yeah.
I love
Yeah.
that so much. So I'm sure the people listening, they want to hear some SP stuff. So
Yeah.
from your perspective, what is one of the biggest misunderstandings in the SP manifesting space? Because I know what I'm gonna say.
Totally.
I'm
Yeah.
interested in what you gotta say.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the biggest misconception in my experience is that you think you're manifesting someone.
Mm,
You're not. And in fact, we're not manifesting anything, but you're not manifesting another person. What you are really doing is choosing to see yourself as your ideal, as perfect, whole, and complete. Not only seeing yourself that way, but recognizing that that's always been who you are. And from there, you allow the space for whoever that is to come and reflect that to you. And I'm not against specific person, I have nothing wrong there's nothing wrong with that. But I just want people to know it's not about them. It's not about them. It's never been about them. It's about you and something that you feel is missing within yourself. And again, I know I went through it more than enough times to tell you the more you make it about that person, the more you're forgetting who you are and you're forgetting why you even want this person in the first place. Generally, I tell people, like, what happened when this person came into your life? What was going on with you? How were you living? And every time I always hear, I was just kind of living my life and like being me. And I'm like, yeah, that's pretty interesting that you somehow, some way brought this person into your experience and in a very ideal way. Because most people will say, like, when this person came in, everything was amazing. Everything was great. They were like exactly who I wanted. And then I started to see these things in them that I didn't like. Well, no, that's not what was happening. You were actually just being you at your core and allowing things to happen. And of course, because you were just satisfied and content with who you were in the moment, that would allow you to experience a relationship that reflects that. So
mm,
just understanding that it's not about this other person. Again, you can have whoever you want, your source, but understanding that it's all just you, anyways. It's all just different forms of you and who you are. And it's not a separate person that is separately existing outside of you that has their own belief systems and own opinions and all of that. Yes, people exist. Everyone is source, absolutely. But in your personal experience, you are simply just experiencing yourself in lots of different forms, just like everybody else is. So, understanding that it doesn't matter what you think has happened, could happen, happened in the past, none of it matters. The only thing that matters is that you know who you are and you move through your world from that space.
I love that answer. Um, Especially because one of the things I love to say is, do you want a specific person or are you looking for love? Which one is it?
Mhm. Yep.
Because you can like you said, you can manifest anybody,
Yeah.
but does that mean this person is going to love you when they show up?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
of
it
course.
it is, and in my experience, I don't talk about it much. I'm going to do a whole video on it soon. My It wasn't a specific person. It wasn't a
Yeah.
specific person, but this person showed up out of nowhere
Yeah.
after, and it wasn't that I realized it, but looking, reflecting, it
Of
makes sense
course.
now. I was totally in love with myself.
Yep.
Totally in love with myself. I got
Exactly.
to that point, and the universe is like, "Here you go."
Yep.
That's how it
Totally.
works. It gets
Yeah.
reflected. So,
Yeah.
anyone out there watching,
Mhm.
go 100% on that interstate in knowing yourself as love, as abundance, as whole, as
Mhm.
complete, and it has no choice but to
Yeah.
show up. And Source knows you want this specific person. Source
Mhm.
knows,
Of
right?
course.
I would
Exactly.
say what's going to happen.
Yeah, exactly. There's definitely no confusion there.
How did you navigate like the space between with your husband, right? I
Mhm.
know this is my person versus,
Yeah.
I'll be okay either way.
Yeah, yeah, that's such a good question. Well, it actually happened in an interesting way. So I, like I said, was just getting into toxic relationship after toxic relationship. And I was like, this is it. This is enough. Like, I no longer want to spend my time, my very limited time, by the way, when I don't have my children every other weekend with guys who just aren't satisfying me, not fulfilling me in any way, not adding anything to my life. Like, I'm just done with that. So I was like, what do I really want? What do I want? It was still not out of the picture that I wanted a partner to share my life with. That was always there. But I knew that I had to be that person for myself. Again, not really understanding what I do now, but I just knew it couldn't continue on this way. So I started, and this is so funny. I was working 3 jobs at the time. I didn't have that much time to myself, but in between jobs, I would be driving and I would just talk to myself and I would just tell myself things that I would love for other people to tell me, things that I didn't even realize were unique or special about me, and I would just talk and have fun and enjoy it. And I was definitely not looking for it, but I met a man who saw all of that and more in me. He was just like, "You are amazing. You're incredible. You have so much like to give." And he's like, not just in a romantic relationship, like in every way, with your family, with your friends. And he's like, if these people don't see it, I don't know what's going on, but I see it. And so that was kind of shocking for me. And of course, I fell for this guy, and it was a very like whirlwind type of romance. But there was something within myself still that was scaring me. And I was really concerned that I was divorced before I was even 30. I had 2 children, and something kept telling me, like, who's gonna wanna be with that? Who's gonna wanna commit to someone who's already divorced, already has kids? Like, you're just damaged. And I let what these people said to me in my life really affect me. And so this man came to me crying his eyes out, telling me how much he loved me, while at the same time saying, I can't do this. I'm not ready. I'm not ready for a child, especially one that isn't mine. I don't have the finances. Like, he just had all of these reasons for why. And of course, I was absolutely heartbroken, but I had a glimpse now. I had a glimpse of what I could actually experience and what I could feel with another person. So I let myself feel, I grieved that relationship, and then I just went back to being me and enjoying myself and loving myself probably even more than I ever had. And of course, shortly after that is when I met my husband. And I knew that a lot of things that he had gone through were so different to what I had gone through, which did scare me at first. But then I started to realize, like, hey, this guy is like pretty cool. He blends in with my life pretty nice. And the thing that sealed the deal for me was when he asked me, so what's your past history like? Like, what are your relationships? And this was just talking on the phone for the first time. And I was like, okay, so here's the thing. I have 2 kids. And, a single mom is like, that's the scariest thing to tell someone, like, let's see what they do. And he paused for a little bit and I was like, uh-oh, here we go. And he's like, I love that. I am so happy to hear that. He was like, honestly, I'm so tired of meeting women who are just all about themselves. They're all about partying. Like, I am older and I don't even know if I'll ever have children of my own. So he was like, if I could be a father figure in a child's life, that would be incredible. And I was just like, this is it. This is the guy for me for sure.
So that's so amazing, Brittany. Like, you want the perfect person to show up, but not
Yeah.
only come to find out you're perfect for that person too, right?
Yeah.
Like they were looking
Yeah.
for you. So that's, man,
Exactly.
I love that so much. And it is interesting, uh the contrast in
Mhm.
these specific people that can
Yeah.
show up. Or not an SP in that sense, but like you're just trusting source to send
Mhm.
you someone, and who shows up, you never would have expected this person,
Exactly.
this exact
Exactly.
person. So,
It's so
love
funny. It's so funny,
it.
and it's even funny that you say that because when I met him, because we met on a dating app, and, all of his pictures were, like, I guess, older, and so right before we're getting ready to meet, he goes, a lot of my pictures on my profile are outdated, so I just wanted to send you some updated ones, and I'm like, "Oh god, what is this gonna be? Is this like a catfish situation?" And he sent me a picture, and I was, like, shocked because he was a bodybuilder. That was never anything that I was attracted to. I always dated, like, really skinny guys, and this man with, like, a face, and I'm like, "Okay, this is a little much for me." My sister, like, tried to talk me out of it. She's like, "I don't think you should go. I'm scared. He looks scary." But I was like, "No, I talked to him. He's not scary. He's so kind. He's so gentle. I know it's gonna be okay." And so when we met, we spent like, a few minutes where he was just, like, staring at me, and I'm like, "Oh god, is there something weird about me? Like, what is it, my hair? Does he think I don't look like my pictures?" So I was just like, "What? Do I not look like my pictures?" And he's like, no, 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 no. You do look like your pictures. You look way better than your pictures. And I'm literally just so nervous right now. And so that broke the ice. And I was like, oh God, there's no reason to be nervous. And really, honestly, the first date, it just flowed from there on. And it was like, this is my person. This is my person. He told me as well, he was like, I don't want to date anyone else. So I'm just throwing that out there. Like, I'm not dating. So what about you? And I was like, nope, I'm good. He was like, good. So it's official. We'll be together.
Got everything you wanted right there. He just
Yeah.
sounds like a character too. That's funny.
Yes.
What guy gets jacked and doesn't update their dating profile?
Seriously, I know.
Been
What?
together for years.
Exactly, exactly. Well, in his defense, he's quite a bit older than me, and he was like, "I barely know how to use these apps. Like, I'm so fed up with it." And even funny too, he was so fed up with the whole thing. He was like, "I'm fed up with this. I don't want to do this anymore. I'm not meeting people." And then my profile popped up, and he was like, "All right, fine. I'll give it one more shot." And kind of being short, like kind of being like one word answers in the chat. And then he goes, "Do you want to talk on the phone?" And I was like, "Sure." And he goes, "When you said sure," I was like, "Okay, hold on a second. So this isn't just another one of those girls that just wants to kind of like get a free drink or something." And it just took off from there.
That's so much. Um, you in one of your videos, you also spoke about building a relationship with the IM in the
Mhm.
same way that we would with a partner through presence, attention, and appreciation. So for you now, what does that
Mhm.
relationship feel like?
Yeah, honestly, It's the most important relationship to me, and I used to think, like, when people from a religious standpoint would talk about God and, they have this strong relationship with God, and God is number 1. I was raised, like, Christian, I had a religious background, but at 14, I had my confirmation, and my parents asked me, "Do you wanna continue to go to church? Because now you're an adult in the church, and it's your choice." And I said, "No, I don't." And they were like, "What? Why? What happened?" And I'm like, "Nothing. I still love God and I still have a great connection with God. I just don't think that he needs me to go to church every Sunday and to wear a dress for him to know that I love him." So my parents were like, "All right, you do your thing, I guess." And through that, a religious standpoint, I did find a connection with God. But it wasn't until I let go of all of these ideas of a separate God outside of me and I started to realize that it's always been here. He's always been within me. And so I started talking. And I don't know, that's just me. I talk all the time. So talking just made sense. And I would just talk and I wouldn't get anything back initially. But I started getting these little synchronicities. I don't really like to call it that, but these little like glimpses of God in different ways where maybe one day I would wake up and I just had this feeling like, "Don't go to school today." And then my friend would text me and be like, "Oh, there was a bomb threat at school." Or, just little things like that. I almost got into a car accident one time, but I actually looked over out the window, totally not paying attention. And because I did that, I missed this guy by like a half inch. So just things like that where I knew, okay, it's with me, it's here. So from there, I would really just talk to source and I would say things like, "Thank you. Thank you for always being here. Thank you for always taking care of me. I know that you always have my back." So even in moments where I'm not really sure why this thing is happening or why it feels like I can't figure things out in my life, I do know one thing, and I know that you are here and you're going to make it okay. You're here with me at all times. And so it just kind of grew from there to where now I don't have to like set aside times every day to speak to source, but I do start my morning like that every day, just being appreciative, being grateful for my existence. It's not any particular thing that I feel gratitude for. Sure, if things pop up in my mind, I will, give some space for that. But really, it's just knowing who I am, the existence that I am, and enjoying that.
I love that so much. We have a lot of the same experiences.
Yeah.
I did the church thing, and I was never like super into it. Something was always a little
Mhm.
fishy. And I
Yeah,
didn't realize it until later. It was because they were just telling us, yeah, God's out there.
exactly.
You got to meet these conditions
Yep.
in order to get the love.
Yep.
And it all sounded so wrong, but now it just makes so much
Mhm.
sense. It makes so much
Oh,
sense. There's no conditions on
absolutely.
any of this.
No, no, it doesn't make any sense. Honestly, when you sit just for a moment and use your logical mind, it doesn't make sense. Why would God want you to be here to suffer? Why did God choose for you to be here? I've dealt with lots of issues in my life, and I would find myself asking those questions. Why am I here? Why am I doing this? Why is this so hard for me? Like, what's the point? And it did always come back to you're loved, even though I didn't know who I was loved by. I knew that I was. I knew that I was always being supported. I was always being taken care of. And so I would lean into that. And the more I leaned into that, the more I had those experiences that confirmed that for me.
Amazing. Amazing. And I really loved what you said about kind of starting the day off right.
Mhm.
I know we're only in the now moment, but it's so important to start your day off right, in
Yeah.
my opinion. So when I wake up, I let myself know that fulfillment is right here.
Yeah.
It's right here. You don't have to spend this whole day looking for it.
Yeah.
It's right here. Just recognize it and just move like that. So I think I had a couple more questions for you. Uh, so a lot of people, they're looking into the 3D to
Mhm.
feel worthy.
Yeah.
How do you kind of train or maybe not train, but what do you tell people to get them away from that?
Yeah, yeah. I think I go back to logical again, and I use, previous experiences to kind of make it make sense. But I always ask people, whatever it is that you have right now, whether it's your job, maybe it's, a relationship with friends, maybe you have a person that you're in a relationship with, like whatever it is, at one point in time, you really, really wanted these things. So how do you feel now that you have them? And every time it's like, oh, well, I guess not much. I mean, now that you're asking, I'm grateful for it. And I'm like, okay, but every day, what are you thinking about? What are you focused on when it comes to these things that you have in your life? And it's like, okay, I kind of see where you're going with this. And yes, there's nothing wrong with wanting whatever it is that you want. That's what we're here for. But just understanding that those things that we, see as outside of us, they aren't. They aren't. They're not truly there. They cannot fulfill you in any way because they're empty. They're neutral. It's all coming from source. So understanding that those things are simply just forms, symbols really of who you are, who you're being, who you're seeing yourself as, that's all that that is. So it's not that you're going to get anything from those forms. Yeah, the experience. That's all. But the experience is not going to last to fulfill you and to keep you fulfilled. You are responsible for recognizing your fulfillment. That is up to you. And when you move through your world knowing that you are fulfillment, that there's nothing missing in your life, you are perfect, whole, and complete. Number one, you kind of stop relying on the outside to tell you what's true. But number two, the way that it works is that everything starts appearing to you. Things that like I had desperately wanted in my life at one time started showing up in my life and I hadn't thought about it in years. So it's like, oh my God, I was like desperately searching for something, but really the whole time I was really wanting some security and safety, and I was wanting to feel free in my life. That's really the root of everything is we want to feel free and we want to feel safe. And when you know that both of those things are yours now, they've always been, you can kind of relax and be like, okay, cool. Like, I don't have to stress so much about what is appearing. Also, understanding that the 3D forms are constantly changing, just like our thoughts, just like our feelings. There is not one thing that you can say has stayed exactly the same. And I ask people that, like, "I- what has stayed the same? Well, I've been dealing with this thing for so long. It's been the same. It's the same thing every day. It's Groundhog's Day. And I'm like, it might appear that way, but that's just you telling that story. It's not staying the same. If it were, then you would just be, okay, cool. I have this thing, I have that thing, I'm good. That's not how the experience works. So just understanding that if your focus is on the 3D, you're gonna have a pretty hard time. But if you put the focus on who you truly are and you walk in that awareness and you choose to navigate through this world knowing who you are, everything is going to come, it's going to go, it's going to flow, it's going to move, but you're still left and you're still loved and you're still fulfilled and there's still nothing missing, you know?
Yeah, that awareness remains, and I love that you tell your clients that because it's such an easy exercise.
Yeah.
Look at the stuff you have. You've wanted them before, right?
Yep.
And what do you want now? You want something else.
Exactly.
That wanting is never going away. You're
Yep.
you're gonna want new stuff, material things, experiences all the time. You're always gonna want
Exactly.
them. It's not going away.
Yep.
So find the fulfillment first, and
Mhm.
then all those things are gonna show up. We don't even have to
Yeah.
strive for them. Just find that fulfillment first in everything.
Exactly. Yeah.
And yeah, the 3D
Mhm.
isn't as it seems.
Yeah.
Like she said, I'm seeing the same thing over
Yeah.
and over every
Yep.
day. Well, of course you are. That's
Mhm.
what you're assuming. If you're assuming it's the same thing,
Yeah.
and it is, you're all power.
Yep.
So in your own experience, how has the role of desire transformed as you've recognized yourself a bit more, like your true nature?
Yeah. Yeah.
And do you still have desires and where do
Mhm.
they come from?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I would say a lot of desires have kind of stopped. I don't find myself longing for things, that's for sure. But I do have desires, yeah. And they come up randomly. I'll just be enjoying my life. I'll be enjoying the present and something will randomly pop up in my mind and I'll be like, "Oh, yeah, that would be cool." But the difference is I'm not coming from a place of lack. I'm coming from a lightness, from like a playfulness, and it's like, "Oh, yeah, thanks for reminding me that I have that. Cool. Like, I can go explore that right now. I can enjoy that right now. I can entertain myself with that part of myself right now. But I don't have to. I can also just accept the fact that it's mine because everything comes from me. So just really knowing that there's nothing wrong with having desires. It's the idea that a desire is coming from some sort of lack or proof that you don't have this thing and you need to have it. It's no, desires are just reminders. They're just reminding you that, like, hey, you also exist here. And do you wanna play?
Mhm. It's such a important practice, or it's not necessarily a technique, but it's so important to, when you have the desire, to recognize that you have it, right?
Totally.
And you did that perfectly, right?
Mhm,
Oh, I have that too.
mhm.
Versus like, oh, the longing. I do
Yeah,
not miss the longing. That is something I
yeah.
used to do so much. Just daydream about lack.
Yeah,
I
I
just
know.
so
I
bad.
know.
And now it's more, it's a different kind of longing. Maybe longing's the wrong
Yeah.
word. It's a knowing I have it, and it's like, "Ooh, how could this unfold? I don't know, but
Yes.
it will," you know?
Exactly, exactly. It's not a longing, it's an anticipation because you know it is. So it's exciting. It's like, "Oh my god, like, how is this gonna come about? How am I gonna experience it?" Well, that's what I'm here for, so we'll just kinda let it unfold and see how it shows up. And it's so funny that you say that because I think a lot of people, really are fixated on instantly manifesting things, like, that's the big thing, and sure you can, you do it, actually, you do it all the time, but just understanding that, like, we don't really truly want things to just instantly appear in front of our eyes. That's not what we want. We don't want that. We already have everything. So what we want to do is experience what it feels like to be limited, although we're not, and then that transition period or that experience or unfolding of, oh, wait, I'm not limited. I do have it. So, again, nothing wrong with wanting to allow things to materialize very quickly, but just understanding that that's not what Source really is doing. Source is here to play. Source already knows it has it all. So that's been there, done that. Like, that's not fun. That's not the fun of it. So just understanding that the more you kind of let go of this idea that, like, I have to do something to get. And now we're just understanding that I've always had it. I've had all of it. Now, how do I want to play with that and experience it in my life?
Wow. Yeah, I love that, and it's to be able to recognize that it's going to be an unfolding. Like,
Mhm.
can you it's here now, but
Yeah.
can you just accept the unfolding?
Yeah.
Because, yeah, of course, Source can make things appear out of thin air, like,
Yeah.
obviously,
Yeah.
but if that was happening, right, and everyone here is Source, there would be, everyone would have a mansion, everyone, it would just be
It would be
chaos, and
boring. It
it
would
would
be
be
boring.
it would just be it would be boring, right? Because everyone would be the same, and it wouldn't
Yes.
even feel special if everyone could just
Exactly.
make what they wanted whenever. So,
Exactly,
yeah.
exactly, totally, and I trust me, I've had some very what people would say are crazy, impossible things happen in front of my eyes, and that was, I think, really what kind of led me here in a way as a child, just having those kinds of experiences where things would appear out of thin air, not logical in any way. And I didn't really think it was that crazy though. Like I just was like, oh, that's cool. Oh, that's fun. Like not really much of a big deal until I told other people and they were like, no, 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 no. That's not real. That's not true. And so I was like, oh, okay, yeah. Like I shouldn't enjoy these things. I shouldn't talk about these things. It's kind of weird. And then I like really had a difficult time kinda coming back to this space. So, yeah, it's very crazy.
It can be tough sharing with people out there in the
Mhm.
3D who,
Yeah.
yeah, who almost try to pull you back. Just,
Mhm.
no fault of their own. That's just how
Yeah,
they know. But things like when I hear the word coincidence, I just hate that word.
I do
Uh,
too.
coincidence and what's another one?
Well,
Chance,
SP,
luck,
I always just say your person, your person.
your person. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a fantastic way to put it. And before we get out of here, there is one more SP question.
Yeah,
If someone listening to this is they're in the middle of the mess, right? The
yeah,
SP ghosted them, their whole world is crumbling, right? They saw him
yeah,
on a date with somebody else. What
yeah.
would you say to them from the IM?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Well, first things first, do not try to run away from the way that you're feeling. Allow yourself to have the feelings. Again, I think so many people are scared to feel what they feel in fear that it might manifest. And the thing is, thoughts don't manifest, feelings don't manifest. It's who you identify yourself to that manifests. So, really understanding that there's nothing wrong with feeling the way that you feel, but you can also remember in that that this isn't who you are. It's like I always use this analogy with people. Like, imagine you are on the show Grey's Anatomy. Like, you've been on this dang show for over 20 years. How long was this show out? Like, you're gonna forget from time to time that you're not actually this character. So it's okay. It's totally okay to get lost, to get immersed in the experience and feel what you need to feel. But come back to the truth. The only truth is I am. The only truth is God, oneness. So if you're perceiving something that is unlike love, that is unlike perfection, it's an illusion. So you don't have to buy into it. It's okay. You can feel it. You didn't do anything wrong. But just remembering that I don't have to think that I'm now stuck to this one character's experience or storyline because that was never the truth and it will never be the truth. So just allowing the feelings, dealing with your human self, giving space for her or him to feel what they're feeling, but then coming back and remembering like this is all an illusion. It's not the truth. I'm not this character. I'm none of these characters, but I do animate them and give life to them. So I can continue to choose this one, or I can choose the one where I know myself. And that's what I always suggest you return to.
Thank you. Yeah, I think that was the theme of the episode today is allowing.
Yeah,
You've
totally.
just got to allow it. And the paradox is the more you allow, the less reactive you're going to get. The
Yeah.
less you're going to get sucked into these kind of feelings and the better you're going to
Mhm.
feel. There's just
Yeah.
a transition period cuz it's a
Of
big change.
course. Yeah, of course. And actually, if I can, I wanted to ask you about that. Perfect. I wanted
Yeah.
to ask you about reacting because I think, there's lots of opinions on this. And I have a lot of people that are really scared to essentially live their life because they're afraid that they're going to react and they're going to cause some problem. Like, what's your perspective on reacting to the 3D?
Hmm. React from truth and don't label.
Hmm.
Meaning you can label something bad in the
Hmm.
moment as long as there's a difference between like, okay, that's not me though, right? Like
Hmm.
this sucks for my
Yes,
character,
exactly.
someone
Yeah.
just slashed my tires, what an asshole. Like go
Yeah,
ahead and react.
of
It's
course.
all good, but your source, like your source.
Yes.
And that's what makes it fun for me, right?
Mhm.
It is the reacting from truth.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're not we're not supposed to be denied these feelings and these
Mhm.
reactions in all of this stuff. It's
Yeah.
just knowing that you're having a simultaneous experience. You're having the human experience and your source doing it. And
Mhm.
you just can't believe these things to be the truth of who you
Mhm.
are. It's
Yeah.
just a cosmic play. It's all random with no meaning. No one's out to
Yeah.
get you. It's all your choice.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm on the same page with you with that. We wouldn't have emotions if we weren't meant to feel them. So
We'd be
feel
robots.
them. Just not attaching any labels or stories or identification to it. Then feel it and then come back. And
Yeah.
like I often do, laugh at myself.
And I think because I had a conversation with somebody about this the other day.
Mhm.
Um, bringing yourself back.
Yeah.
And it's like, man, am I doing that too much? And it's like, no,
Mhm.
you're only ever doing it right now.
Yeah.
So if
Yeah.
you have a bad experience and you self correct, you're self correcting in the now moment, and
Mhm.
everything's brand new again. So Just
Absolutely.
remember that. It's so
Yeah.
important to know you're only in the now, and,
Mhm.
revision is instant.
Yeah, exactly. Revision is just a choice, just like any other choice.
Yeah. Well, Brittany, thank you so much. This was awesome and phenomenal, and we're gonna have to do this again at
Yes,
some
I loved it. Thank you so much, Brandon. I loved getting to kind of get to know you too in the conversation. That was great. So thank you.
Wonderful. And for anyone watching, I will link all of Brittany's stuff in the description. And for those of you in our school community, Brittany's going to be joining us for a little session. We know the date, but I'm going to leave that TBD for our guys in the school community. So awesome. Thank you so much, Brittany.
Thank you so much, Brandon. Have a good rest of your day.
You as well. Take care.
Thanks. Bye.